Friday, January 23rd, 2026. I just want you to look at that date and put a mental pin in it.
Yeah.
Because if you've opened X or checked Blue Sky or just glanced at a TV in the last 24 hours, you know history didn't just happen. It kind of exploded.
It really did.
The Academy Award nominations dropped yesterday, and, usually we know the drill. We expect a 3-hour biopic about a dead president, maybe a quiet black and white drama that, 5 people saw.
But not this year.
No, not this year. The headline is not a war movie. It's not a musical. It is a massive, loud, terrifying horror movie.
Right.
Sinners has set the all-time record with 16 Academy Award nominations. 16.
I mean, that's more than Titanic.
Yes.
More than La La Land.
It's unbelievable.
It's completely unprecedented. We are in uncharted territory here. And honestly, if you're someone who generally thinks of horror as, cheap jump scares.
Eyes and rubber masks.
Exactly. Or teenagers making terrible decisions about which door to open. You might be scratching your head right now. You might be wondering how on earth we got to a point where the most prestigious night in Hollywood is being completely dominated by vampires.
Exactly. And that is our mission for this deep dive. We're going to unpack this golden age of horror that we are apparently living in right now. We want to figure out why this genre, which used to be the bad boy of cinema, something you watched with the lights off and didn't tell your parents about, has suddenly become Hollywood's most bankable and, frankly, its most experimental playground.
And to do that, we have pulled together a really fascinating stack of sources.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not just looking at movie posters.
Yeah.
We've got the box office reports from the last 12 months to follow the money. We're looking at a pretty dense academic text on the aesthetics of post-horror from Edinburgh University Press.
And don't worry, we are going to translate the academic speak into human English.
We promise. We've also got some very spirited Reddit discussion threads that really get into the weeds of the lore, and of course, the big critical reviews for the 2 films that are defining this moment, Sinners and Weapons.
So let's dive in. To understand why Sinners is sweeping the nominations in 2026, I feel like we have to rewind the tape a little, because this didn't just happen overnight, right?
No.
We didn't go from Friday the 13th directly to Best Picture nominees.
Not at all.
Yeah.
If you want to understand the landscape of 2026, you really have to look back at the shift that started, roughly 10 years ago? Around 2015 to 2017?
That's when critics started using this term post-horror.
That's the one. Or sometimes you'd hear the phrase elevated horror.
I always felt elevated horror sounded a little, snobby. I don't watch scary movies. I watch cinema.
It definitely ruffled some feathers in the horror community. It felt like gatekeeping, like saying real horror wasn't smart. But the academic definition from our sources is actually quite useful if you strip away the snobbery. It describes films that prioritize a lingering sense of dread.
Over the immediate release of a jump scare.
Exactly. It's about mood. It's about making you feel physically bad rather than just making you jump out of your seat.
Making you feel physically bad is a bold marketing strategy for a Friday night movie.
It is. But think about it. Traditional horror operates on a roller coaster model.
Yeah.
You have the climb, tension, and then boo-oh, the jump scare.
Right.
You scream, your heart races, and then you laugh because you realize you're safe. It's a release mechanism. Post-horror removes the release.
It just lets you sit in it.
It builds the tension and keeps building it.
Right.
And just lets you sit in it. In fact, there is this incredible example from our sources about the apprehension engine that perfectly illustrates this.
Oh, I saw the pictures of this thing in the notes. It looks like something you'd find in a medieval dungeon.
It essentially is a torture device, but for your ears. It's this custom musical instrument that was commissioned for the film The Witch back in 2015.
Right.
It's this weird custom-built contraption made of wooden boxes, metal rulers, and loose wires. You don't play a melody on it.
You can't hum along to it.
No.
Yeah.
You scrape it and bow it to create these unearthly drones and metallic whines.
It's not music in the traditional sense. It's texture.
Exactly. It's sonic anxiety.
Yeah.
And that instrument is the perfect metaphor for this shift in the genre. A traditional horror score tells you when to be scared, da-da-da-da. Here comes the shark. Get ready. The apprehension engine, and post-horror generally, creates what the academics call objectless anxiety. You feel wrong. Your stomach hurts.
But you don't know why.
You don't know why, and there is no monster on screen yet to blame it on.
But for a long time, there was a disconnect here, wasn't there? I remember seeing movies like Hereditary or It Follows. Critics were writing love letters to them, analyzing the metaphors for grief and trauma. But then you'd look at the audience scores or the cinema score, and regular folks were like, D+. boring. Nothing happened.
That was the narrative for a long time. There was this massive tension between the art house films that wanted to be metaphors and the populist audience that just wanted a thrill ride.
Right.
The audience would walk out saying, why didn't they just shoot the monster? And the critics would say, because the monster is generational trauma, you can't shoot trauma with a gun.
Right, you can't shoot trauma. But here is where it gets really interesting and why we are talking about a golden age today. In late 2025 and now early 2026, that divide seems to have totally collapsed.
The artsy stuff started making Marvel money.
Exactly.
The genre figured out how to have its cake and eat it too. It figured out how to be smart and loud. And that brings us directly to the juggernaut that is Sinners.
Let's talk about Sinners. Released April 2025, written and directed by Ryan Coogler, starring Michael B. Jordan. It came out and it just exploded.
I mean, 365 million worldwide,
Yeah.
a perfect 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. And now, the Oscar record holder.
And it's important to note, Michael B. Jordan isn't just in it. He's doing the heavy lifting here.
Oh, absolutely. He secured his first ever Best Actor nomination for playing twin brothers Smokin' Stack.
Can we just appreciate the difficulty of that for a second? Playing twins is usually a gimmick. It's usually the Parent Trap.
Usually, yes. But here, the duality is central to the theme. You have these brothers returning to the 1930s Mississippi Delta. They want to open a juke joint, a nightclub.
They're bringing the blues home.
Right, but they find out their hometown is being overrun by vampires.
Now, when you say vampires, I feel like we need to clarify for the listener, we aren't talking Twilight.
Oh, God, no.
We aren't talking glitter and high school romance.
No, and this is where Coogler bridges that gap we were just talking about. He takes the high-concept metaphorical weight of post-horror, the smart stuff, and wraps it in a massive blockbuster package.
How so?
Because in Sinners, the monsters aren't just monsters. They are a metaphor for cultural appropriation and the predatory nature of the music industry.
Whoa. Okay, let's unpack that. How do you get from blood-sucking vampire to music industry executive?
It's all in the text of the film.
Right.
I was reading through some of the Reddit threads in our source stack, and the fans picked up on some incredible details regarding this. There's a specific scene with the head vampire, Remick. He's an Irishman.
Right, the scene in the church that was all over the internet.
Yes. It's a chilling moment. Remick is reciting the Lord's Prayer with a character named Sammy. On the surface, it's just creepy because, well, vampires in a church shouldn't happen.
It feels blasphemous.
It does. But the subtext is about assimilation. Remick explains that his own culture was subjugated by the church, and he found comfort in that submission. He found power in erasing himself to fit in.
Wow.
And now he's trying to seduce the characters into giving up their unique cultural voice, their blues music, to join this homogenized eternal life.
That is deep. So it's not just, I want to drink your blood. It's, I want to consume your culture. I want to take your voice and make it mine.
Precisely. The vampires can't enter unless they are invited in. That's a classic vampire trope, right? Goes back to Dracula.
Of course.
But in Sinners, it operates as this biting commentary on how the community let the industry in. They opened the door to the very thing that would strip them of their identity because they were promised success or fame or immortality.
That gives me goosebumps. It elevates the movie so much beyond just a creature feature. But at the same time, it is a creature feature, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I'm reading reports here of audiences literally cheering in the theaters during the third act, like standing up and screaming.
Oh, absolutely. This is why it made $365 million.
Yeah.
It's not just a sad lecture on history. It has visceral catharsis, specifically the shootout with the KKK.
I was hoping we'd get to that, because that is a bold choice.
It's the moment the film pivots. You have these vampires,
yeah,
right? And then you have the Klan, the real-life monsters of that era, and the film just goes there.
It pits the protagonists against both.
Yes. It balances these heavy themes of grief. Wunmi Mosaku is nominated for Best Supporting Actress for her role as a grieving mother, which is heartbreaking, with this insane, action-packed release where the characters fight back.
It's almost like Coogler is saying, we are going to make you think, we are going to make you cry, and then we are going to let you watch the bad guys get absolutely destroyed.
It proves that you don't have to choose between being smart and being fun. You don't have to choose between art house and grindhouse.
And that is a huge reason why it's resonating with the Academy. It feels like the great American novel, but with fangs.
Right. It's tackling American history, race, and capitalism, but it's doing it with explosions and scares.
Okay, so Sinners is the blockbuster juggernaut. It's the loud, history-making epic. But there's another film in our stack one that came out later in 2025 in August. It didn't get 16 nominations, but it made a ton of money. And the reviews are, honestly, they're perplexing. They describe it as cruel.
You're talking about Weapons.
I am talking about Weapons. This is from Zach Cregger, the guy who did Barbarian. And if Sinners is an epic, Weapons sounds like a puzzle box designed to hurt you.
That is a great description. The dark, jagged puzzle. Released August 2025. It grossed $269 million on a $38 million budget.
So a massive return on investment.
Huge.
Yeah.
But structurally, it is fascinating. It's not a straight line. It's inspired by films like Magnolia.
Magnolia, the Paul Thomas Anderson movie where frogs fall from the sky, that is not a horror movie.
No, it's a sprawling, multi-character drama. And Weapons borrows that structure. It's told in 6 chapters from different perspectives. You see the world through the eyes of a teacher, a father, a police officer, a junkie.
And it all revolves around this one singular, impossible event.
17 children vanish from a classroom in Maybrook, Pennsylvania at exactly 2:01 a.m.
Just vanish. Poof.
Gone. Into thin air.
Yeah.
Except for one kid, Alex, who's left behind.
That premise alone is terrifying. It taps into that stranger danger, missing child panic that every parent has. But the villain, oh man, we have to talk about Aunt Gladys.
Amy Madigan. She is currently sweeping the awards Circuit Critics' Choice winner, now an Oscar nominee.
Yeah.
She plays this elderly aunt.
Yeah.
And based on the reviews, she might be one of the most terrifying horror icons of the century.
And that's what's so weird about it. In Sinners, the villains are vampires. They're supernatural. And Gladys is just an old woman.
It's the banality of evil. She's a family member. She's someone you know. But then you peel back the layers and find out she's using witchcraft to feed off these kids because she's dying. And the way she controls people, it's not with telekinesis or lasers. She cuts a lock of their hair.
That specific detail makes my skin crawl. It feels so primitive.
It's that apprehension engine, dread again. It's intimate violation. It's taking a piece of you. But unlike the post-horror of 10 years ago, which was very serious and somber, Weapons has a very dark, almost cruel sense of humor.
Yeah, the sources call it a twisted bedtime story.
That's it, exactly.
And we need to talk about the ending. We usually try to avoid massive spoilers on this show, but this movie has been out for months.
Yeah.
And to understand the Golden Age, we have to discuss the tone of the resolution.
You do.
Because the kids, they don't just run away. They don't just escape.
No, they tear her apart.
Literally.
Literally, the spell is broken, the children are freed, but the method of their liberation is this act of absolute savagery. And the film presents it as a bittersweet moment.
That is complicated.
It is deeply complicated. Yeah. It forces the audience to sit with the discomfort of violence as a solution. It complicates the whole good versus evil narrative.
Right. In a traditional movie, the hero saves the kids and the police arrest the bad guy.
Exactly. Here, the innocence is lost in order to survive. It's a much darker, more cynical worldview than Sinners, but equally potent.
So, if we zoom out, what does this all mean? We have Sinners engaging with history and race on a massive operatic scale, and we have Weapons playing with structure and narrative fragmentation.
It means the genre has matured. It's no longer sitting at the kids' table. Horror has become the vehicle for the most complex storytelling in Hollywood right now.
Wow.
It can handle the weight of history, and it can handle structural experimentation, all while selling popcorn. It's not one or the other anymore.
And it's not slowing down, is it? Looking at our sources for what's coming up later in 2026, we have a really interesting battle on the horizon.
The Battle of the Frankensteins.
Yes. We have 2 major Frankenstein movies coming out this year, which again feels like proof of this golden age. If the genre was dying, we wouldn't be getting 2 A-list adaptations of the same book.
It's the perfect example of the genre's diversity. In one quarter, you have Maggie Gyllenhaal's film The Bride, coming out in March. Christian Bale is playing the monster.
Christian Bale. So he's going to lose 100 pounds or gain 100 pounds for the role.
Knowing him, probably both in the same week. But this isn't the Boris Karloff monster with the bolts in the neck. The sources describe it as a punk take.
Punk take.
Yeah. Bale is loud, aggressive. The film focuses on toxic masculinity and coercive control. It sounds very subversive, very modern.
And then in the other corner,
you have the legend, Guillermo del Toro, releasing his Frankenstein on Netflix. And he has cast Jacob Elordi as the monster.
Wait, the guy from Euphoria, the heartthrob.
The very same. But early reports describe this as a faithful literary adaptation. Elordi plays a younger, curiosity-driven creature. He's tragic. He's trying to understand why he exists.
So essentially, 2026 is giving us a punk monster and a sad boy monster.
Essentially, yes. But think about what that means. The ecosystem is healthy enough to support both of these simultaneously. A subversive deconstruction and a prestige literary adaptation without them canceling each other out.
It really feels like we are seeing the shedding of that lowbrow reputation. Horror isn't just for cheap thrills on a Friday night anymore. I mean, it is still that I still want to jump when the cat scales me, but it's also Oscar bait. It's also art.
It is, but I want to leave you with one thought. If we connect this to the bigger picture, I think there's a common thread between Sinners and Weapons that is worth chewing on.
What's that?
It's the idea of the invitation.
Right. We talked about this with Sinners. The vampires explicitly need to be invited in. They can't cross the threshold without permission.
Exactly. They cannot hurt you unless you open the door. And look at Weapons. Who is the villain? Aunt Gladys?
A family member?
Someone who was invited into the home to help. Someone trusted.
That is chilling when you put them side by side.
It suggests that the true horror of this golden age isn't the monster jumping out of the bushes or hiding under the bed. We aren't scared of the unknown anymore. We are scared of who we politely open the door for.
Wow.
It's about the danger that comes with a smile, the danger that asks for permission before it destroys you.
Man, that is something. Perhaps the scariest thing isn't the darkness outside, but the thing we welcomed in ourselves.
It's a frightening thought.
Yeah.
But that's what good horror does. It holds up a mirror and forces us to look at what's reflecting back.
Well, on that cheerful note, if you haven't seen Sinners or Weapons yet, you clearly have some homework to do before the Oscar ceremony. Go check them out.
Just maybe. Double check who you're inviting over to watch them with you.
Great advice. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.